providing live finance advice on WMAC since 1993. It's time for Your Money with Steve Rosenberg, Sherri Goss, and Randy Goss. To participate in today's program, call 478-742-0940 with your financial questions or comments. And now live from the Macon studios of News Talk 940 WMAC, it's Your Money.
Good morning. Welcome to Your Money. Steve Rosenberg, Sherri Goss, and CT are here with you this morning. We'll be here till 10 o'clock. 742-0940 is the number with Rosenberg Financial Group. Offices in Warner Robins and Macon. And congratulations to Sherri for winning Best of the Best Financial Planner for Macon.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Now that I said that, I have to read the disclaimer. You understand?
There's like a page long.
So here's the disclaimer I have to read because
I got an award.
She got an award. So she won it. She won Best of the Best Financial Planner in Macon. Where's the stupid?
You're not prepared.
I printed it out. Okay, here it is. Let's see. Nominees may be the 2019 Best of the Best Award is given by the Telegraph, a daily newspaper published out of Macon, Georgia. You can realize this has not been written by somebody in New York. Here, it's just the compliance office in Phoenix or wherever they are. For a winner in each category, Best of the Best, third-party rankings and recognitions are not a guarantee of future experience, a higher level of performance, or results. These ratings should not be construed as an endorsement of the advisor by any client, nor are they representative of any client's evaluation. Because we cannot use testimonials. So
we have to delete them.
If somebody posts something on Facebook, just raves about us,
we have to get them off there. They call us or email us and say, you got to get that off there right now. Yeah. You can't have anybody saying anything good about you.
Or bad.
Bad.
They could say you stink. You got to take that one off too. But anyway, so that's because it's not
because we're fiduciaries.
It's just people voting.
But we're fiduciaries. Now, if we work for some other shop where we were just selling products, we could use testimonials all over the place.
Yeah.
Which is why marketing people always want me to use testimonials. When I did those ads on Channel 13, they're like, well, why can't you just say how great you are? And I said, I can't say anything good about me. Nothing.
Yeah. So, and you just can't do it. So, and that's an SEC, Securities and Exchange regulation. So that's really for people who are fee-based as opposed to commission-based. If you're commission-based, you can say more. I'm not sure exactly what you can say, what you can't say, but you can say more. If you're life insurance, you can say anything.
Yeah.
You can make up stuff.
Insurance stuff, you can say, oh, you can make 30% if you'd been in this product. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So it's just, but it's, the whole thing is the compliance people are keeping us out of trouble, and that's what we want to do. So anyway, but I thought that was really cool. Yeah, me too. And you didn't do anything. You didn't even know. Did you know?
They called me a month ago.
I mean, but you didn't promote it or anything. I mean, you didn't even know it was coming up.
What do you mean?
The Best of the Best.
Yes, of course I knew it was.
Oh, you knew it was coming up?
Yeah, I had Randy nominate me.
Oh.
So I would get on, because you have to be nominated to even have the option of people voting for you.
Yeah, Nancy and I were talking about that, how that works. So anybody who gets nominated is
Votes.
On the ballot?
Yes.
No matter how many nominations, there's one nomination.
If you get 20 nominations, you're only on there one time. So,
right, but you're not higher on the list or anything?
No. You're just on there. So we were at Oliver's last night talking to Nikki, one of the owners, and she was upset because they didn't win any category. They came in second everywhere.
I saw that.
And she's like, they won last year. They won Best of the Best because they were a new restaurant.
Yeah.
But then Jim Shaw's beat her in the category that she wanted to be in. And we said, but you're second place in like 6 categories, which is good because your name is still out there. But she wanted to be on the top. And they really deserve. They deserve to be on the top.
Yeah, they're a great restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
They really are.
So I don't know. Who knows? Just a matter of who votes and how many vote and all that.
We can endorse restaurants.
You can endorse anybody you want.
No, not a person. You couldn't endorse. I can't endorse you.
What are you talking about?
I can't promote you.
You can endorse me for the best of the best. You can endorse anyone.
Not just saying on the air.
Oh, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Anyway, enough of that.
Anyway, so we're in the largest economic expansion in the history of the United States.
I know, and there's a thing in the. Did you see the thing in the? It was the Wall Street Journal. I couldn't print out a lot of my stuff this morning because I couldn't.
Computer was dead.
I couldn't get on my email. I don't know what's going on. So luckily I printed out stuff yesterday, to a certain extent. Anyway, this is from the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal, and it's titled "A Tale of Two Economies," and subtitled "Trump's Policies Are Helping Workers More Than Obama Did." I'm not going to read the whole thing, but anyway, but it says. Judging from last week's debate, Democrats running for president, see America as a Dickinsonian. Dickinsonian.
No.
That's what it says. IEN. Dickens. Charles Dickens.
Yes.
Nightmare of inequality.
Dickensian. That's what they're saying, I guess.
Dickensian.
Yes.
It's the best of times for millionaires and billionaires and the worst of times for everybody else. Time to wake up from the Barack Obama economy, folks, and admit how many more Americans are prospering. I can't even read this word. From the faster economic growth and tighter labor market after policy changes of 2017. Who is this economy really working for? It's a great debate for people trying and getting a thinner and thinner slice at the top, says Pocahontas. They didn't say Pocahontas. I said Pocahontas. When you've got a government, you've got an economy that does great for those with money and isn't doing great for everybody else. That's corruption, pure and simple. Cory Booker, says, I live in a low-income black and brown community. I doubt he lives in a low-income community.
Right. I don't think so either. Let's look that up.
I see every single day the economy is not working for Americans. Kamala Harris said. Anyway, so the editorial goes on. So job numbers and other economic evidence are fake news? Hardly. The reality is that wages are rising at the fastest rate in a decade for lower skilled workers, and unemployment among less educated Americans and minorities is near a record low. Democrats want America to believe the fiction that they spin rather than what they see with their own eyes. The press this week has noted that the economic expansion reached its 10th anniversary, the longest on record, but the accounts ignore the last 2 years have been far different than the first 8 in economic policies and results. Start with Mr. Booker's claim that the minorities are being held back. Really? The jobless rate for blacks is 6.2%, which is only 2.9% higher for whites versus a 4.6% difference before the start of the 2008 recession. Unemployment has fallen twice as much for blacks as whites since 2016. Nearly 1 million more blacks and 2 million more Hispanics are employed than when Barack Obama left office, and minorities account for more than half of all the new jobs created during the Trump presidency. Unemployment among black women has hovered near 5% for the last 6 months, the lowest since 1972, and a mere 3.5% of high school graduates are unemployed. And that's just the beginning. This thing goes on for pages and pages.
So we had to stop at McDonald's the other day because we're in this thing where it's so hot out. I don't feel like eating, and then I get so hungry I'm shaking like horrible. That's why I'm sitting here with an apple, because I've got to eat something because we're going to the gym, and this heat just kills me. It's horrible. So we're in the McDonald's. And I go in, we order a couple of Egg McMuffins on the kiosk because the lines are horrible. There's so many. It was the 4th of July. All these people are traveling. The place is cram-packed. It's just a disaster. People are getting frustrated because they're waiting for their orders, standing in line. I told everybody, just use the kiosk. Order here. Don't
Yeah.
stand in line. You just order. It took me like 15 seconds to order 2 muffins and pay for them with the credit card. So we're standing there waiting for our stuff, and this lady's walking around. I don't know what her position was, but she was walking around. She wasn't behind the counter. And so we said to her, "What are you guys making an hour?" And she got so mad, so angry. She couldn't hardly talk. She was so angry. And she said, "I'm working 2 jobs just to make ends meet. I work here and I work somewhere else, and I make $7.15 an hour," which minimum wage in Georgia, I had to look it up, is $7.25. So they're paying a little less than minimum wage. I said, "Why don't you go across the street to Kroger?" Because I talked to Kroger last time I was in there. I was talking to one of the guys I see every time I'm in there. And I said, I saw a hiring fair on 96 Kroger.
Mm-hmm.
Minimum starting pay was $16 an hour.
Wow.
With huge benefits.
Yeah.
And so I asked the guy at Kroger, I said, "What did the baggers make?" And he said, $9 an hour. I told her, I said, "You could go across the street and make $9 an hour bagging groceries." Well, that one, it was just like this whole negative thing of why that's not going to work and it's not true. And it just drove us crazy because she hates where she is, but she won't even talk about doing anything else. I can't stand it. There's better jobs everywhere. She could go to Walmart and make $15 an hour and get free college. I mean, she's not willing to even consider anything, and they're all stuck and the people in the line, there were 2 guys making the food, they were my age, standing back there making burgers and stuff.
Really?
Yes. These were not young people. Those are jobs for high school kids and college kids. Those are not jobs to support adults. I don't understand why people stay in these crappy jobs into adulthood and have children, and you can't make it. And then she said, "Yeah, and if you make any more money, then you lose all your subsidies. You lose your EBT card and you lose all these benefits because you make too much money." I said, "Well, that's the whole plan. You don't need it if you're making more money." Oh, she was so mad. We ended up talking to her for like 20 minutes. She was so mad she could hardly stand it. And I don't understand it.
Huh.
Start engaging with people. When you go out to eat, start engaging with them and ask them, what is your life plan? Especially if it's a 40-something-year-old waitress. What's your life plan? And if they're happy doing the waitress job, fine and dandy. But if they're angry and frustrated, go. There's all these opportunities everywhere. Target, Walmart, Kroger. I mean, at Kroger, last time I went, there was 20 people in there stocking shelves and doing click list. They said that Kroger on Arkwright or Tom Hill Senior Boulevard is the number 1 grocery store in this area, and the people are doing click lists like crazy. And they're hustling all day long just to fill the orders and keep this shelf stocked. So I don't get it. I don't get staying in something where you hate your job and you're miserable when you could go across the street.
Well, sometimes they wallow in their misery.
I don't get it. Why? But that makes no sense.
But that's just the way some people are. They just it's like things are going well and all of a sudden you screw it up and they go bad because they're just used to things being bad. So they wallow in their misery. They can complain about it and stuff like this. She walks across the street and gets a job and makes twice as much, then she might not be able to complain about all the stuff she complains about. Who knows?
That makes no sense.
But that's just the way it is.
That is not natural. That's not normal. Normal is you want a better future. Normal is you have a crappy job. You look
they
for the
want a
next
better
best thing.
future, but they have to do something to have a better future. And she's not willing to. She can't want a better future that much if she's not willing to go across the street and make twice as much.
God, it's just
so
maybe.
she can say she wants a better future, but she doesn't. She'd rather just sit and complain about it and be miserable.
Yeah, I don't understand it at all. I don't have any people in my life that are like that. I've no one in my family like that. No, I've never had a friend like that. I've never known anybody in that mess, ever.
Yeah,
even in high school, college, any place I've worked. Now, I did work a waitress job when I was in high school, and there were people there that were older than me that were waitresses. They call them servers now. I'm not trying to be condescending. That's what we were called back then. And they were middle-aged, but that's what they wanted to do because they made great tips. I mean, I made huge tips.
And you go to the restaurants in New York, and you got older people working there
because it's a good living.
Because they're making a ton of money because the food's so expensive and the tips are huge.
Yeah. But McDonald's, no tips. Anyway, so 224,000 jobs were added last month. The number one category, education and health services, which are not low-paying jobs. Those are good jobs, 61,000, which many of those people in education are earning a pension. Number two, professional and business services, 51,000 jobs. Number three were government jobs, 33,000. All those people are earning a pension. The pension's not dead. I mean, there's still people out there that are getting it. I have tons of clients who have them, and they're just, jobs are everywhere.
I wonder what Chick-fil-A pays.
I don't know, but you get free college. You have real incentives and benefits to work there, and so a lot of.
But they've also got like older people there that
yes.
Bring out the trays and stuff like that. Older men and women. It's just
they like it because the environment's so nice.
It is great,
and they're friendly people, and people appreciate them, and everybody's being nice to each other. It's not like a hostile environment at McDonald's. Everyone's just like staring at each other with daggers.
But you know what? We stopped. We took two of our grandkids to Folly Beach for the week. They live in Nashville, so we took them there. We drove there, and we stopped for lunch at the McDonald's in Metter, right on 16. It was great. The people working with there were as nice as could be.
Good.
The place was clean. We used the kiosk also. Kids had to tell me how to do it
it's not hard.
I know. I had a little trouble with it.
Oh,
I had
gosh.
trouble with the table number thing. But anyway, but it was really, then the people kept coming over. Is everything okay?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's abnormal.
That is very abnormal. That goes back to the owner of the place.
Right.
Right? I mean, you set the atmosphere and, that. So, but it was, anyway, so the kids are,
how old are they?
10 and 12. So, we drove them there, and then they were going to fly back to Nashville by themselves. And there is from Charleston one nonstop flight that goes to Nashville every day. There's a bunch that stop in Atlanta, but you didn't want to do a stop and change planes and all that.
I wouldn't do that.
So I was wondering how it could work, and we got to get through security with the kids, and the kids, do they need this, they need that. And David just made the reservations, and put the ages in there. And so when we got there, since the 12-year-old was able to travel by himself without a problem, then he was responsible for the 10-year-old.
And they would have had a flight attendant help him out.
Yes.
If he needed it.
The flight attendants are always, nice with the kids and all that kind of stuff. And they had their electronic devices. The problem was that the flight was delayed for like an hour and a half because there was lightning 8 miles away. And they closed down the ground crew just shut everything. The whole airport just gets shut. And so they sat on the. So we weren't leaving the airport until the plane left. So and I'm texting David's in Nashville, so we're texting back and forth, and then finally it cleared enough. They got up, and then planes would land, but they couldn't go to a gate because there were no gates because they were filled with planes, and plus there was no ground crew to bring the stuff out to them. So the people coming in had to sit there too. It was just lightning. 8 miles away.
Just lightning.
Yeah. How bad can lightning be?
Look it up. How bad can it be?
So.
We had a huge storm here last night. Did you have a big storm at your place?
No.
Oh, it was an amazing lightning storm.
Really?
Huge rain and lightning. It was beautiful.
Really? You know what? I am just sick and tired of the Weather Channel app.
Weather Underground?
No, the Weather Channel.
Oh, yeah, I don't use that.
They say rain is in the air. This morning it comes up with like little messages on your phone. Says light rain is possible. I read on Twitter, somebody said I wish they'd just tell us when the weather's going to be nice, because they're telling us it's going to be bad all the time.
Because that's what attracts people.
I know.
Bad news gets people's attention.
But there's no advertiser or anything on it. I mean, you just pull up the app and it's got the stuff in there. So it's not like, but anyway. So you just get to the point where you ignore some of these, bad storms and stuff like that.
But that's why when the weather's really bad, they'll bump me off Channel 13, because everybody wants to stare at the TV over and over again and look at the bad models of the big, giant, bad things that are coming our way, so they can get concerned about it and worry about whether they should go inside the hallway and with a blanket and hide or something.
Well, we had that one. We had that one, I guess, a month or so ago when there were the tornadoes were around. That was a Sunday, I guess it was. a month ago or whatever. And so sirens had gone off where we are, tornado sirens. So we got on the inside of in the closet, and I had my iPad, and I watched Ben Jones on my iPad from there. Because he's always,
there you go.
He's he's in hog heaven.
He's the guy.
Yeah, he's great, and
he has a huge fan club. Huge.
Oh, he's great. I tell you,
he's funny. Really funny.
I tell you what, they do. Last year, I hope they do it again. Frank Malloy's always kind of been the MC for the Museum of Aviation thing. So the two of them together, they're like a comedy team, and it's just so much fun. And the Museum of Aviation.
That's this Friday, I think.
I think it's a week from Friday. Today is a week.
Anyways, it's coming up, and so if you want to look it up, Museum of Aviation. It's the big fundraiser of the year where you do the silent auction, and then they have a real live auction of stuff, and they have door prizes and tons of food from all different kinds of restaurants.
Free food.
We have to buy a ticket.
Yeah, you buy a ticket for it, but the food itself is free.
Once you get in, it's free drinks and food, and then you can do a silent bidding on all these things that are donated.
It's not always free liquor. They just give you enough so you'll bid. But anyway. Where was it? I had the date.
Hurry up.
Okay, so it's the 20th. So it's
okay. So 2 weeks.
2 weeks. But anyway, and it's always fun.
So, would you like to get $3,000 that you could donate to any charity of your choice? This is super fun. And Randy and I started working on this yesterday because I just got the email yesterday. The Peyton Anderson Foundation is doing a 30-day summer challenge, a contest to reward good doers. It says a 30-day challenge is a way to honor Peyton Anderson, to celebrate the work of the foundation, and to encourage people to pay it forward and think about the community. The challenge runs through July 31st. So after the 30 days, they'll draw entries and award 3 different entries that have completed the challenge the opportunity to direct $3,000 in grant money to the charity of their choice. So they have a bunch of suggestions of things you could do, from providing a meal for families who stay at Ronald McDonald House, to picking up litter on the Okmulgee Heritage Trail, to donating cans of black-eyed peas to the local food bank, because Peyton Anderson was big on black-eyed peas. He had he had black-eyed pea parties on New Year's Eve, and would do it as a fundraiser. So we started it yesterday, and if you go to the Peyton Anderson Foundation website, you can download the material, and what you do is you document what you do every day. So if you have dinner out downtown, or you go to a play downtown, or you donate to something, or donate to Goodwill or Salvation Army, they have a bunch of suggestions of things that you can do. Take a picture with the Downtown Challenge art sculpture, take a potted plant to Habitat for Humanity for a new homeowner. It's all just nice things. It's really fun. And so check it out, and if you don't win, who cares? You're doing 30 days of good. And so I think this is very mentally healthy, and I think they should do this every year, because there are people out there that don't participate in anything like this, and they're missing the boat. I get such a charge out of doing good things like the library.
Uh-huh.
I get such a high off of that. It's like every board meeting is so fantastic. And then this morning, so I went by the barber shop where I put the bookshelf and 100 books already. 100
Really?
books. I've spent $20, and I put a bookshelf and 100 books in the barber shop, BJ's Barber Shop on 2nd Street. And he was standing outside this morning, and he said, the bookshelf is a hit. And I said, great, I'll bring you more books. And he said, Tuesday? I said, I'm not sure about Tuesday, but I will bring you more books. So because I'm talking about it, I got a donation last week of about 1,000 books. Did you see them in the back office? They're piles.
Really?
Piles of books.
Where'd they come from?
I'm not telling you. Secret squirrel. But anyway, so the more good you do, the more good you attract, and the more fun your life is. And I have clients that live in this perpetual zone of doing good. They work for friends. They volunteer with Friends of the Library. They make sack lunches for kids that are that have a low-income family. They're doing Meals on Wheels. They're teaching English to children and tutoring. They're volunteering all over the place. I have a couple that works at Daybreak every week. every week they're at daybreak at least 2 days working and helping homeless people. There's people serving all over, and these are happy people because they're giving and they're getting back 100 times what they give. That's what happens. So I don't know. If you need to get involved in something. If you're not involved in anything, there's a lot of boards. In fact, Randy's working on helping fill positions on the board of the Macon Arts Alliance. I'm trying to help him with that. Library board just lost 4 board members because they rolled off. It's a 5-year service period, so they've just had to find 4 new board members. And there's people out there that are retired with talent and abilities and a brain in their head, and they need to be using it, not just sitting around. So if you're bored, think about what your passions are and think about where you can direct those to do good, and it feels really good to do good.
Feel good by doing good.
Yep. So Peyton Anderson Foundation, go ahead and 30 days of good deeds, and it's not too late to start because you can make up your time really fast.
When you did budgeting, because you were a big budgeter,
right?
Okay. Did you include saving money in
yes.
that?
And it's part of your budget. It's part of where your money goes.
Okay.
Why do you ask?
I ask because there is this article I got from someplace or other. It says adding this new expense to your budget will actually help you save more.
Make it automatic is the key. You need to make it automatic debit out of your bank account into your IRA or whatever you're doing.
This comes from the website NerdWallet. It says there's one expense even die-hard budgeters tend to leave out: savings. Is savings an expense? Maybe not technically, but if you treat it that way, you are much more likely to do it. Just as you wouldn't stiff the electric company or your cable provider, treating your savings or retirement account as a bill, an actual light item in your budget, rather than an afterthought, might help you build a bigger balance. Ask any newly retired person and they'll tell you savings was worth it. In fact, most people wish they'd save more. But in the decades before retirement, we often treat savings like the family dog who gets the occasional treat of dinner scraps. If there's something left over after the bills are paid and needs and wants are met, we might throw our savings account a bone. If it isn't, it goes without, and it just goes on.
The problem is credit cards. So people use credit cards like a savings account. And this all started back in the 80s when credit cards emerged as the big thing. People quit. The savings rate in this country dropped like a rock because if their car breaks down, they can just use a credit card. So if you don't have enough, if you can't get a credit card, your credit's that bad, you better be saving money somewhere because you need a backup. What are you going to do when your car doesn't run anymore? How do you pay for new tires? How do you pay for a new engine or a transmission? If you don't save any money, you're going to have to go into debt. Makes no sense. You're going to pay huge rates of interest.
I can't understand how, the only bill that I pay attention to this with is my American Express bill, but 29%.
Right.
How do they get away charging 29%?
They can charge whatever they want.
They never used
Why
to
did
be
you
able
sign
to.
up for it? Why do you have that card if you don't like it?
Because I don't pay any interest.
No, but why did you choose that card?
Sky Miles.
There you go. How are they going to pay for that? They got to pay for that somehow, and most people carry a balance, and they basically are wasting their money to get Sky Miles. You're an anomaly that you pay it off every month. Most people are not doing that. They're carrying balances and paying all this interest.
But how do you ever get out of debt? You don't. You can't get out of debt paying 30%.
Yes, you can. It's a matter of focus and making more money. You have to pile a lot of money on that to get out of it.
But when you're in debt already, it's hard to pile more money away because all your money is gone to debt.
Minimum payments are evil.
Yeah.
The worst is the IRS because of the penalties and interest that pile up monthly. So I know somebody who I talk to frequently that owes the IRS $3,000. The minimum payment will never pay that off. Never. The IRS is the worst. So the next one that's the worst.
Well, the credit card will never get paid off at 30% either with a minimum payment.
But not with the minimum payment, never. In fact, the balance is going to go up. I talked about that on TV a few weeks ago. Minimum payments are just, it's really rotten.
They want to keep you in debt. And the credit card companies want you to carry a balance and want you to stay in debt.
Yeah, because they can make a lot of money.
And so they've made it, if they're charging 30%, no way you're going to get out of debt unless you just really...
Student loans are horrible. The interest rate looks really cheap, 6%, but the payment is so low, you'll never pay it off. Especially if you start missing payments or going to deferment. Forget it. The balance is going to keep going up, and you're going to keep getting deeper in the hole.
Well, Bernie will take care of that.
Yeah, I'm sick of him. But it's all bad. I mean, so that's why consumer credit counseling existed, is to help people because they negotiated lower interest rates with creditors, and that's now greenpath.com. So if you know somebody that's scraping and struggling with their debt load and they cannot make anything more than a minimum payment, it probably would benefit them to go talk to GreenPath, and it's a 1-800 number now. They have a nationwide service center that you call, and then you can actually get a physical appointment with somebody in Macon. They have an office here, but you have to go through the 800 number. But they negotiate reduced interest rates and payments with all of your creditors. It's what I used to do way back in the day. And so you can actually make headway. And we would get people, the average person would get out of debt with us in 4 years. They would be completely debt-free. Vehicle, not the house. We didn't include the house because they can't negotiate with the mortgage company.
Right.
But if you're upside down in your car loan, I mean, all of that can be rolled into one lump sum payment that you make every month and try to get out of it. And you can just call them for free counseling and not do the debt management plan, but just get some advice on negotiating with your creditors. Because sometimes people can do it on their own. They can negotiate reduced interest rates. If they have something really bad happens in their life, that they can document that this happened and that they really need help. Sometimes creditors will work with you to get you out of debt themselves because they want you to make the payment.
If you miss a payment, you got a decent excuse. They'll, maybe once or twice they'll let you.
Yes. Because they need your money. They need you to pay it off because it's unsecured debt. You can just default on it and not ever pay it, and they can't do a thing to you.
Yeah.
There's nothing they can come and take.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to know how much credit debt there is on credit cards.
It's actually lower. So I read the other day it's $6,000 per person, and way back in the day it was $8,000. So everybody's griping about it's horrible. It's better than it used to be.
But rates weren't this high. Originally the rates were like in the teens, in the low teens.
Yeah, I don't know.
They weren't, and because of usury laws. I mean,
we didn't even have it in Georgia. You can charge 300% interest in Georgia.
Yeah, but there were usury laws, and they've just gone by the wayside.
And
that's the problem.
But finance companies, title pawn.
Early credit cards, there were credit cards at 7% and 8%.
Wow. I don't remember that.
And then they all just took it up.
Because my first credit card was a Sears credit card that I got in 1983. And it had a horrible interest rate. They mailed me the credit card, and I used it to get a battery for my car in 1983, and it cost me over $100 to get a battery at Sears and have it installed because I didn't even know how to do that. So I went to Sears because I had a credit card, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
Is you go there and you get ripped off, and I couldn't pay it off. I was like making monthly payments on a battery because I had every week. I had an extra $20. That's all I had left after I paid my bills working in mental health. That was crazy back then. But anywho,
the latte factor about saving.
Yes.
So anyway, and that was David Bach came up with that.
Yes. The Millionaire Next Door.
Yeah, The Millionaire Next Door. We had him on the show years ago, in our earlier years when I had met him, and he was a great guest. But anyway, he came out. This is the real math of coffee and your retirement. It says, coffee lovers rejoice, you can have your latte and prosperous retirement too. Many mainstream financial experts have used coffee as the prime example of wasting money.
Susie Orman. Susie Orman has been pounding on that.
Yeah, she's been pounding on it. She's still around?
Yep.
Oof. I can't stand her.
I know, me neither.
I cannot stand that.
She has a real negative vibe to me.
Oh, she's just, she's an she was a waitress, and she got into that gig. She was a waitress.
Oprah made her famous.
Yeah, Oprah's made a lot of people famous.
Marianne Williamson.
Who's that?
Who's running for president? You don't know who she is? She's a spiritual author.
Oh.
Kind of like a Wayne Dyer.
Anyway, so many mainstream financial experts have used coffee as a prime example of wasting money, saying your morning coffee ritual from Starbucks or a local cafe are killing your chances of properly retiring. Susie Orman, speaking of whom, author of numerous personal financial books and a television host I can't stand, said the daily coffee habit is exactly like peeing $1 million down the drain. Takeout coffee is a want, not a need, she said. I wouldn't buy a cup of coffee anywhere ever, and I can afford it because I would not insult myself by wasting money that way. But not all financial advisors agree with her math. Orman equated a daily coffee habit to $1 million in retirement, but that would require putting away $100 in a Roth individual retirement account every month for 40 years and earning 12% rate of return, which is a bit hopeful.
So she can say anything because she's not a fiduciary. She's not us. So she can just go around saying anything she wants and make up any headline she wants and doing in math any way she wants.
That's right.
And so it's annoying.
Anyway, so this financial advisor and guy in New York created an online calculator to crunch the numbers of one's coffee habits. The argument against coffee makes little sense and is also disingenuous, he said. There's a better way to communicate controlling one's spending. His calculator targets how much someone would save if they were to switch to brewing their own coffee. But it also highlights how misguided some of these sensational figures like $1 million over 40 years can be. His calculator incorporates how much a cup of coffee or specialty coffee like latte is, how often someone drinks it, A coffee drinker would save $150,000 over 40 years if they were to brew their own coffee according to the calculator's default settings, which include a 12-ounce bag of coffee for $20 and a habit of 14 cups of coffee a week at $3 a cup. If that person drank 14 cups of coffee and half were lattes for $6, that person would save a total of $282,000 over the next 4 decades.
Blah, blah, blah,
Still
blah,
powerful,
blah, blah.
folks. So look at the money you can make. And he uses a 5% rate of return plus 2% inflation. So
enough of the coffee. Next time you go to the store, look what people have in their shopping carts. Processed everything. Sodas, everything is processed. Everything is prepackaged, pre-made. You're paying a premium. Instead of buying an apple, they're buying frozen muffins or whatever for breakfast. The amount of garbage they're consuming and the amount of money they're wasting by not buying actual food instead of just stuff they can throw in a microwave makes me crazy.
Speaking of food, this is from Efrig, Dr. Efrig. So are eggs good for you again? It says for decades, doctors have told millions of Americans with high cholesterol that they're at a risk of heart disease. It's exaggerated nonsense, of course. Long-term readers know how cholesterol isn't the danger mainstream medicine wants you to think it is. I guarantee that I'll have doctors emailing me, but cholesterol has nothing to do with the real cause of heart disease.
It's inflammation.
When it comes to your cholesterol, your doctor will probably focus on a single number, your total cholesterol. That number reflects your high-density lipoprotein, HDL, and your low-density LDL, and 1/5 of your triglycerides. HDL is commonly referred to as good cholesterol, and LDL is referred to as bad cholesterol. Triglycerides are another type of fat that create fat stores to use energy. Researchers now claim that doctors regularly overtreat folks with high cholesterol using statins, right?
Yes, because they make tons of money. The drug company is the number one profitable drug is statins. And there's no generics.
They prescribe it even if the LDL is barely over the threshold. And if that weren't enough, now we have panic-induced headlines from the other side. Research now claim that women with low LDL have a higher risk of hemorrhagic stroke. There were a lot of issues with this study, which came from the researcher at Brigham and Women's Hospital and Harvard. Most significant research only measured cholesterol levels once on average and checked in with participants 19 years later. No one recorded cholesterol at the time of the stroke. Here's the thing. The women's overall risk of having extremely low cholesterol is low. One study found only 3% of what you consider too low levels. It goes on with that stuff. So eat your eggs.
So I was at the doctor. I went to the doctor a few weeks ago for my annual physical, and I told him, I said, I'm really concerned about Randy because last year after he had a stent, they put him on Repatha, which is an injectable cholesterol number. It lowers your bad cholesterol number, plus a statin Lipitor. He's on both of these things, and everything I keep reading is that your brain needs cholesterol, and I'm concerned that it's too much. And he said, well, let's look. So he pulls up Randy's chart on his computer like in 1 second and looks at it, and he's like, oh, my God. He said his cholesterol numbers are so low that he can't even make brain cells right now. Right now, he said, tell him to cut it in half. Half is dangerous. He said, this is what's wrong with cardiologists. All they want is low numbers. They're not thinking about what it does to the rest of your body. Question everything.
Yeah, but most people don't know enough to question.
Just read. Read, and bring articles to the doctor and say, here's what this says. My cholesterol is too low. I'm going to lose brain function.
And you, too, can be like Dr. Sherri.
I don't really care what anybody thinks. I'm going to question everything, and if I don't like how somebody treats me, I'm going somewhere else. If they're not open to me questioning them, then they're not willing to learn anything, and they're not going to be really helpful. So
what he says is, so we're happy. Let's see. We're happy to see researchers challenge the standard myth that high cholesterol causes heart disease, the number one killer in the United States. We're not surprised that they have confirmed our... Anyway, do what I do. Don't worry about cholesterol and pay no attention to the headlines as they switch back and forth whether eggs are good or bad. And they do.
Yep.
It's always whoever does it. Cholesterol-heavy foods like eggs, butter, and fish all have great health benefits, and they always will.
Dun, da, da, da. So, yeah. So my cholesterol, both of my numbers are high. It's genetic. I mean, my whole family has it. And so now they finally figured out that it's the ratio. So my ratio is like 2 for the cholesterol numbers. And they said if your ratio is under 5, you're fine. Don't have to worry about it. So that's how they look at it now. And if you look at your blood, look at your blood work every time you go in for your annual physical. Make sure that your doctor is looking at all of your everything and commenting. My guy, after I see him and have my blood drawn for my annual physical, he goes through and he writes all over it about what my stuff was last year, what it is this year, what's gone up, what's gone down. And so this year he looked at my stuff and said, you need to start taking B-complex vitamin because of one of my numbers in my blood work. And I had to go back and look at previous blood work, and he had written it on there but didn't say it, and I didn't catch it. And I've never been told to take B vitamins, but were you able to read this article about B12 deficiency? Mm-mm. Okay, I sent it to you yesterday. So this lady wrote this article in the Wall Street Journal. It's very good. It says, it began with occasional tiredness, dizziness, and tinnitus. I later developed heart palpitations, odd sensations in my extremities, and shortness of breath. Then anxiety, feeling faint, brain fog, insomnia, and she would wake up in the night with a surge of like electrical charges throughout her body, and her arms and legs would be completely numb. That doesn't sound normal. So over a year and a half, she went to a bazillion doctors, and no one could figure it out. And it was a B12 deficiency. So because the symptoms are too confusing, and it's not like you can just type it into a computer and it comes out with what's wrong with you, which is why they just keep sending you everywhere because no one can figure it out. It says it's very common. Most people get all the B12 they need from a healthy diet that includes animal products such as meat, seafood, eggs, and dairy. The human body has to get B12 on a daily basis, and it can store it mainly in the liver, but the stores can get depleted. If you're pregnant, you probably are depleted because you're growing a person inside of you, and you need more B12. It says seniors are disproportionately afflicted largely because of aging and atrophy of the stomach lining, along with typical lower levels of stomach acid, all of which can lead to difficulties in absorbing B12. Those with pernicious anemia can't absorb enough B12 from food. and vegans, they're seeing huge rates of people with B12 deficiency. And so I sent this to our daughter because she just became a vegetarian about a month ago. She said she can't even look at meat. It makes her nauseous all of a sudden. Something hormonal is probably going on with her, but and she is dairy intolerant and gluten intolerant. So she's down to like the produce section. I mean, there's not a whole lot that she can consume. So I sent this to her, but it said nearly a quarter of vegetarians and 3/4 of vegans were found to be B12 deficient, which is not good because it has long-term effects. If you don't fix it, it can make you really sick. So the article from the Wall Street Journal said also proton pump inhibitors for indigestion and metformin for diabetes can cause the same thing. So they'll diagnose you as chronic fatigue, depression, fibromyalgia, hypochondria, irritable bowel syndrome, MS, thyroid problems, but it's B12. So look at your blood work, pay attention. I look at my D levels. I've been taking D3 for 2 years now, and my D3 level was 30 2 years ago, then it went up to 40 last year, and this year it was 54. So that boosts your immune system. I've never paid attention to blood work like this before, but it's fascinating to me.
Yeah, I never pay attention. I just look at the highlights. Because the doctor just whips over a couple numbers, and that's it.
Well, you should ask him about it next time. Take it back in there and ask him to look at the D3 and your B12 and what's going on. But if you're having these symptoms, that could be the thing. But that's a really good article. If you can't find it, you can email me at Sherri, Sherri, at rfmoney.com, and I'll shoot it to you. What you got?
This thing about this Secure Act again. That's the bill that Congress is waiting. The House actually passed it, and it made some changes in some good, some not so good.
I can't remember what that's about.
This is the one that RMDs will start at age 72.
Oh, yeah. They need to just pass this thing.
Well, now it's to the Senate.
Okay.
It was bipartisan in the House. So, and hopefully they'll say when you hit 72, not this...
Right, 70 and a half thing.
That was stupid. The stretch IRAs will be shortened. That's going to be the big thing. And also, you don't have to stop saving for retirement at 70 and a half. You can still contribute to it.
Even if you're not working.
I guess. So the deal is, most IRAs, unless the income from your IRA is important to you, most holders want to postpone taking income until the very end, and that was, of course, at 70 and a half. So they can, once this passes, they can push their start date to age 72 and continue to make tax-deductible contributions as well, as long as they're working. But not everything is great. The biggest gripes come with what happens after you pass. So, if you're married and you pass away, then your surviving spouse, if you have a surviving spouse, gets the money, and you just take out minimum distributions. It becomes your IRA.
It's like it was always their IRA.
Right.
That's how it's treated.
And so it just comes out. And then however, if it passes to heirs other than spouses, and you're talking about kids here, then the old law was they can take it out over their life expectancy. So if you're a 40-year-old inherits it and you
take RMDs,
take it out RMDs
based on your life expectancy,
you take out 1/40th the first year, 1/39th, 1/38th, 1/30th. Now what they're saying is it must be liquidated within 10 years.
What?
Yeah.
That's stupid.
So this is expected to raise $16 billion over the next decade.
In taxes?
Yeah.
This is wrong.
The bill also gives the IRS the ability to take up to 1/3 of your IRA in retirement plans, which is a concern for some people.
What do you mean?
I don't know. It just says expected to raise $16 billion, and it also gives the IRS the ability to take up to 1/3 of your IRA and retirement plans. So
that can't be right.
I guess that if it's being spread over a short period of time, then
and you're probably taxed at a higher rate because you're working.
So taxpayers who wanted to pass the assets to heirs will now need to look at alternative tax strategies. And they talk about giving your IRA to charity, but that doesn't solve the problem for the kids. It should be noted there are other provisions which benefit families. If you have a 529 plan, up to $10,000 can be withdrawn to pay down student loans, which will help make a dent in the student
I don't know if that's
epidemic.
Do people have? How many people have student loans that have 529 money? Why would they not have spent the 529 money on college instead of getting a loan?
That's really good.
That's really stupid.
Yeah. Why don't they just take it? And
these people don't know how. These people don't have a clue.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
They need to live in the real world before they start passing laws.
It should be noted there will be other provisions. If you have another upside is the bill allows new parents to withdraw up to $5,000 without being penalized. New parents to defray birth and adoption expenses. One major change is the ability of employers to now offer annuities as an option. The Senate's expected to take up the bill for discussion. Assuming it passes, it will have to go through a reconciliation process. So,
I'm switching subjects.
Good.
So, artificial intelligence is starting to show up in the industries. So, this one is really good. This is a great story. So, when we were out in Colorado, I asked the kids because they have a giant trash bin, and then they have a giant similar but says recycling on the front. And so everything, every piece of cardboard, every package that food comes in, all goes in the recycling thing. So plastic bottles, paper, foil, it all goes into the same bin. I said, how on earth is this utilized when it's all thrown in the same bin? And our son-in-law said, there's somebody that picks it. That goes on a big, what do you call them? Big rolling thing.
Conveyor belt.
Conveyor belt. And they have to stand there picking through your trash and sorting it. I said, that would be a disgusting job because God knows what people are throwing in these bins. I mean, really. So here's the solution. Recycling facilities are deploying artificial intelligence-guided robots which can sort streams of waste more quickly and accurately than human workers. Already established in warehousing and other sectors, the efficient, tireless devices are performing jobs that are dull, dirty, and hard to fill. No kidding. The AI machine processes up to 350 tons of recycled waste in a day.
Really?
Is that crazy? So this one company has 6 of these robots, and they're going to add 8 more. It says it can sort, the machines can sort 80 items per minute, twice as fast as the average person, which they were paying people $10 to $12 an hour to do this horrible job, a dirty job, obviously. It's 95 degrees, and you're standing on a platform sorting trash. Who would want to do that?
Imagine the smell.
Gee.
Rotten trash.
Yeah, with pieces of food left over in it and ants and bugs and all sorts of nasty things. Ugh.
I was talking to the mayor of Folly Beach one time. We were talking about recycling and stuff like that. And he said it's just impossible. He said it's because people put all this stuff, they put like a pizza box in the recycling. Well, you can't recycle it because it's got food in it. So you have all these things that people just assume they can recycle, and they have to go through the trash and pick out the stuff that doesn't qualify for recyclable stuff.
How did this hour go so quick? I don't even know what happened here.
It's a hit and run.
Good grief. But anyway, so these robots are customized with a grasping arm, vision sensors, and a security cage to protect the nearby employees. Its algorithms are trained on vast archives of images of water bottles, beer cans, milk jugs, food cartons, and other items. They can distinguish items by color, texture, shape, size, and material. They cost $200,000 a piece, and they say it takes 18 months to 4 years to recover the cost. Amazing. Who would want that job? That's what we need robots for, is to do these horrible jobs.
And
I like it.
We will. A couple of hundred years from now, you'll look back and say, boy, things have really changed. All these things we talked about 200 years ago, they're coming true.
Why don't you tell everybody who we are?
I don't know who we are.
So you've been listening to Steve Rosenberg and Sherri Goss, and we are with Rosenberg Financial Group, offices in Warner Robins in Macon. You can learn all about us by going to the website, retirerelax.com. Lots of free special reports. My life book pages are there, and you can sign up to get Randy's posts, all different sorts of interesting things that will come to your inbox if you so would like that.
And make sure you watch Sherri every Wednesday afternoon at the 5 o'clock block on WMAZ, 13 WMAZ, for her 2 minutes.
Roughly.
And then she sticks around and takes personal phone calls off the air. So not
until
only can
6
you get
o'clock.
good information, but you can ask her yourself.
There you go.
Just have your phone call the station.
But yeah, and we offer complimentary consultations. I saw a widow last week that was so thankful. Her husband died unexpectedly and suddenly, and a friend told her, go see Sherri, and she'll help you. And we just walked through all of her concerns, and it was very, very good. No charge.
Anyway, have a great week, and we will be back with you next Saturday morning. Same bad time, same bad channel.
The views expressed on this show should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities or services mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risk, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should only be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Securities are offered through Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated, member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services are offered through Rosenberg Financial Group, a registered investor advisor not affiliated with Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated. Offices are located at 2517 Moody Road, Warner Robins, and 4875 Riverside Drive, Suite 201 in Macon. Phone numbers are 922-8100 and 741-4457.